Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for having us. My name is Chris Hensley. I'm the Assistant Director of First Year and Transition Programs, and I also serve as A&M Commerce's Foster Care Liaison.
My name is Jessica Alvarez. I'm the Graduate Assistant for this position, and I'm pursuing my Master's for Higher Education Administration.
So we are here talking about our request for funds for the Lions Can program. So to start a little bit about kind of our story, back in 2015, the Texas legislature released House Bill 3748, which required all institutions of higher education to designate somebody to serve as the foster care liaison role. And at that time, I was in a weird sort of events. Our office was going under some transition, and I became A&M Commerce's foster care liaison. Fast forward, to 2017, and this is when the A&M system, Chancellor John Sharp, solidified everything that the state was asking of us as higher education institutions and backed us as an A&M system, saying, yes, we will do this, and we will put forth more effort than just simply being a checkbox, if you will. And so, some programming that we have already done as A&M Commerce as an institution. We were fortunate enough to be a host institution for the PAL conference, which is Preparation for Adult Living. So foster care youth that are currently in high school and junior high come to our campus each year for a prospective student conference, essentially. And we've been hosting that for a number of years, and I have helped with it the past 2 years. And then back in 2017, we were also the hosts for the Education Reach for Texans Conference, which is a professional association, nonprofit organization of people who work with foster care youth. So not only higher education institutions, but also social work, social workers, people within the government, and then outside entities as well. And then 2018-2019 school year is when we officially started research and organizing this Lions Can program.
Overall, only 10% of foster youth go to college, and out of that 10%, only 3% of the former foster students actually graduate from college. So, and then a girl from UNT actually said, I wish I had someone who cared about my future as much as I did so that they could help me along my path. And I think that's why we're here to help them, so that way, to let them know that there is people out there willing to help them in their long run future.
So that quote really embodies what we're trying to do with this program. So CAN is an acronym. We all love acronyms, maybe a little too much. But we are going with the acronym of Lions Can. So you can do this in terms of marketing materials. But CAN stands for Community, Advocacy, and Networking. So we're wanting to create a community for these students to ensure that they know that they have a sense of belonging, that they are welcome and will be supported here on campus. We are wanting to advocate for these students, be a resource for them in our office, but also be able to connect them to other offices and advocate for what their needs are across whatever that might be and across the institution. And then finally, provide networking opportunities, not only on campus in terms of different programming, but also partnering with offices such as career development to help them network as students, to help them reach their career goals and know that they can continue on and get their whatever it is that they have in terms of a career goal accomplished after they graduate from college.
So what we would be doing is we have actually sent out a survey so that students can let us know what exactly they're looking for. And then we would have one-on-one meetings, so they would be meeting with me and we would talk about like schoolwork, how like their personal life if they want to get into that subject. If they have any questions about where some resources are located, I will be able to help them with that. With those meetings, I would also be tracking those meetings, so I would write them down on a piece of paper, and then each student that would have a meeting with me, I would have an individual folder, and that's where everything would be kept. In the long run, we do hope to have like a mentorship program where if other students or staff want to get along and help those students, they can. And currently, we have 42 students identified.
So those 42 students are identified by students who are currently using the tuition waiver through student accounts And unfortunately, that is the only way that we're able to identify students at this time. But we are working on some different ways to identify and recruit students, not only for the university, but also for this program. So Jessica is primarily going to focus on working and maintaining those relationships with our current students, while in my role within the orientation office, I can help our enrollment management goals of seeking our future students. So we are fortunate enough on the fall 2019 Apply Texas application, there is a new question that asks if students, as they're applying, if they were formerly in foster care. So we will have the ability to identify these students better going into this next academic year. And then we're also working closely with undergraduate admissions to find ways that we can market this program. Jessica has already created a flyer, and we're hoping to take that out into the high schools as they go on visits going into this coming fall, in order to market that we have this resource available to students that might identify as former foster care youth. So connecting it back to the mission of the university, we actually are using President Rudin and the new strategic plan. So we believe that our program here truly does connect to the mission of educating, discover, and achieve. We want to educate these students and help them reach their goals here on campus, but also helping them to discover and achieve different things that they've set out to do. And we believe that it falls directly in line with strategic priority number 1, student preparedness and employability, by providing a transformative and experiential education that develops relevant marketable skills. We're wanting to program to the students based on what their needs are and how we can help and support them. So potential impacts if this budget is cut or not funded would simply be that this is a new program, and we are fully aware of that, and it is a little bit difficult to launch, especially without funding at the moment. The handout that you all have is a very, and on full transparency, rough breakdown of how we could implement the requested funding based on certain programming that we want to do for the students, and then programming that they will get back to us. The survey that Jessica mentioned, we have had some respondents. Students are looking for more information on tutoring services, one specifically looking for TRIO information, so being able to connect them to those offices. And then the students that have responded are interested in creating a student organization built around those who were former foster care youth, so being able to provide them that outlet to have a community. Without funding, we would probably work with different offices and have strategic partnerships for people who have some money that they would be willing to put into the different programs that this initiative would include. And then there are some state and national grants that we could apply for. Obviously those are not guarantees and would be sometime, so it may not necessarily be here for the fall per se, but that is something that we would like to look into, whether funded or not funded.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you all talk a little bit about what the difference is between what you all are proposing and what the student case manager does?
Yeah, so we actually are working really closely with Nikki in this, primarily, and I hope that I'm sharing her job in my own terms. Nikki primarily works with students who are at risk and crises. So yes, these students may fall into that category and be a little bit of an overlap. We are simply identifying these students as a special population of students who need a little bit more assistance than possibly just our typical student. But we are working very closely. She is our third counterpart, if you will, working with the current students. If something needed to be elevated to her, we would be the people to help get them in connection with her. Of course.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just make sure Stacy gets your presentation.
Yes. I'm also the next one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just keep going?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I confirm if my other student is here?
Crystal, so Nikki's